Well guys, sometimes you need to do what we used to do in the Army called an after-action review. What worked, what didn't work, and how do we fix it next time? Let's go. What's up guys, Joe here from ScruffyArms.com and the Scruffy fam. Well, 2023 is winding down and almost done. And as we look forward to 2024, there's a lot of things that we can look back on. And when I was in the military, one of the things that we would do after every mission is we do an after-action review where we talk about things that were good, things that were bad, and how we can make changes for the next time. And I always think that's a really good thing to do after a hunting season because not every hunting season is successful. Some are extremely successful. And you can review the things that worked and what didn't work and what changes you would make for next year. So what I thought I would do is I would kind of go over what happened with my hunting season this year, some of the lessons that I learned, some of those lessons that I'm going to implement for next year, and some tactics and techniques that I'm going to change up to be more successful. That can be with rifle setups, that can be with caliber choices, all of those things can go into this. And some things that surprised me this year that were completely unexpected. So let's start off with how my gun season has gone. It was pretty rough this year in Wisconsin, just to be completely honest. There weren't as many hunters this year. Public lands were very, very full. And even on private lands, the hunting pressure was so much that we didn't see the numbers of deer harvested we normally do. Now, here in Wisconsin, we still harvested, I think it was just about 100,000 deer. So, I mean, it's a big deal. But it's still, for the number of hunters that were out there, wasn't as successful as it could be. So, I know in the group of hunters that I'm with, one guy did get a archery buck. Another guy didn't see anything. I couldn't recover the archery buck that I shot, and then I saw one doe in a blink of an eye and never got a shot off. Outside of that, we just hadn't seen anything, and our gun season officially is done this coming weekend. This is Thursday. It's done on Sunday. My situation is not going to allow me to go out and hunt again these next couple days, so my season is over. So with all of that said, let's talk about what I thought I was going to do going into this season and what actually happened. So when I look back at some of my other videos and I talk about what's going hunting with me, what's not, one rifle that I shot a lot was my Ruger American Ranch in 7.62x39. Let's grab that. All right, so here's my Ruger American Ranch in 7.62x39. Oh, now I have to say the Ruger American Ranch Gen 1 in 7.62x39. I really, really like this rifle. This rifle is a ton of fun to shoot. There's no recoil. It's very accurate. And 7.62 ammo, you can get ball ammo, you can get hunting ammo. Just a really, really fantastic and fun rifle. I had planned for this to be my brush gun when I was going to be hunting in the brush. We put a red dot on it. And what I found out was when I went hunting, I didn't take this at all. This did not go to the hunting with me at all. And I really started to think about why didn't I take this? And it really came down to the rifles that I favored this year are honestly a couple steps above the Ruger American. This one's loud because of all the metal on it. It's a loud rifle. It's not quiet. It's not as light as it could be for this compact of a frame. And it just didn't fit what I was looking for hunting this year, which really disappointed me because I really think the 7.62x39 is an extremely effective hunting caliber for short range. When you're talking, you're only within a tree stand range, 25, 50, 75, 100 yards. This thing, it's a 30 cal that is going to deliver enough on target that you're talking dead critter. I also was excited to try out the red dot on here for really quick target acquisition. In retrospect, I didn't know that I was going to be hunting in timber where I wouldn't have anything farther than like a 25-yard shot. I was expecting to be sitting in a blind where I'd be looking over a cut field, but some hunters were on the other side of that field. So when I got there, my spot was already ruined for that hunt, so I had to do an impromptu switch up, and I sat over some deer paths crossing, but there was nothing more than 25 yards. And I had the Remington 700 that had a much more powerful optic on it, and part of the reason I didn't get a shot on the doe that popped out was I couldn't get eyes on that target super fast. And it was really frustrating because it was a good sized doe, and honestly, if I had had this with me, I probably would have been able to get the shot off. So this next year, if I know that I'm going to be hunting in the woods and I've got super short shots, or if I'm going to be doing tree stand hunting in the woods, I may use this. What this is really going to be is going to be my son's rifle next year. He's going to go out on the youth hunt. He'll be turning 8. I'm going to take him out on the youth hunt, and this is what he's going to use to hunt with, because he's not going to have any shots that are far enough that will require anything more than a red dot. So this is really going to be the trainer rifle for my son, because the recoil is so low on this, and we've got a muzzle brake on, and I can put the suppressor on it. This is going to be perfect for him. So a little disappointed in this rifle this year. I never pulled this out of the safe to hunt, but I have high expectations for it next year, and I think this is going to be better for my kiddos getting out and learning to shoot than it is going to be for me to use as a hunting rifle. So pretty sad about that, but it is what it is. Let's move on to what's next. So before the season started, I had really high expectations of the Mossberg Patriot Predator in 6.5 PRC. I was really excited to try the 6.5 PRC out for hunting. I've hunted with 270 before, 308 before. I've done all of that. And I was curious to try out the 6.5 PRC. I'd heard so many good things about it, and in my experience, it was highly accurate, even out of the Mossberg Patriot. The problem was the Mossberg Patriot could throw a 1/4 inch group, or it could throw a 1.5 inch group. And it was really frustrating because it was the platform, not the caliber. And then I got a 6.5 Creedmoor. When I got the 6.5 Creedmoor, I found that I was shooting the 6.5 PRC less and less, and shooting the 6.5 Creedmoor more and more. And the difference between the two was so negligible. The platform for the 6.5 Creedmoor was a better platform than what I had for the 6.5 PRC. Because of that, I decided to sell the 6.5 PRC before hunting season. And I sold it to someone who needed a hunting rifle. They enjoyed shooting it. They like it. That is their rifle to do with as they wish. But what that did was we got the Ruger American Go Wild in 6.5 Creedmoor. And this rifle has been a tack driver. This thing shoots everything really, really well. It groups extremely well. I did some, because the season is done for me, I've done some scope swapping. I'm going to get out to the range. I did put the Right-On 3-18 by 50 on here because it's a mil. And if you guys don't know, there's a hack for 6.5 Creedmoor with mil for long distance shooting. It's really funny. It's about 1 mil per 100 yards. So that's the reason this is on here. It's the only mil reticle I have. So I wanted that on the 6.5 Creedmoor, so I took it off the 308. And I thought that this would be like my primary hunting rifle this year. When all of this went down, I thought, okay, this is great. This thing is a tack driver. It's more than capable enough. This is what I'm going to use. But what I found out was this thing is heavy. This is very, very heavy. And it's got a 22-inch barrel on it. So with it being as heavy as it is in this platform and with the 22-inch barrel, it was just really long. Now, could I take this and be successful? Absolutely. I could have. But what I found out was overall this platform was heavy, a little excessive, and just didn't lead to an enjoyable experience. So as I was taking this to the range and I was shooting other stuff and shooting this was really fun at the bench, not really fun in the woods when I'd have to carry it around. So what ended up happening was this ended up staying in the safe the entire hunting season. This did not come out of the safe to go to the woods at all. And what I had to think about on that was why. Well, it's long, it's heavy, and if I was gonna just be sitting in a blind, which I ended up doing a lot this year, this would be perfect because it just sits on the tripod or sits on the blind. It's got really good balance. When something comes up, you get behind it, pull trigger, harvest animal, right? But because I got a different rifle that was much smaller and more compact, I leaned towards that a lot, like almost exclusively. So what's really going to happen with this rifle is my wife really likes the aesthetics of this, like a lot. She likes it a whole lot. And she's excited to shoot this with the suppressor on it, and she's wanting to get into hunting, and something like this, any hunting I'm going to take her on, we're just going to go sit in a blind, and this would be perfect for that. We can go, we'll plop her down, she'll get behind this, she'll get really familiar with it. Mild recoil, especially with a suppressor and a heavy platform. This thing shoots beautifully. Just for me in the hunting I was doing, it didn't fit. For the hunting my wife is going to be doing next year, or even my dad, it fits a lot better. My dad wants to get into hunting for the first time at 69 years old, so we're going to take him next year. We're going to get him started shooting on the 6.5 Creedmoor. Very, very mild recoiling. He's a veteran, so he has shot plenty. He just has never had the opportunity to go hunting in his life, so we're going to make that happen for him. And we're going to get him behind this to see if he likes the 6.5 Creedmoor, and if he does, we'll get him his own rifle and get him set up on it. But this is really going to turn into my wife's rifle for hunting and shooting at the range. So I was impressed by the 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm very impressed by the Ruger American platform. But again, Gen 1 now. We'll see what happens with Gen 2. All right, so this ended up staying in the safe all hunting season. Let's see what's next. All right, my Winchester Model 70 and 270 Winchester. If you guys have been watching the channel at all, you'll know this is my favorite rifle. This is my Cabela's 50th anniversary limited edition, 1 of 500. I mean, it's a Winchester Model 70 and 270 Winchester. If you are a fan of the old magazines, you know who Jack O'Connor is, and this combination of rifle is just amazing. This has been my dream rifle for a long time. I was able to find one this last year and pick it up. And everything about this rifle is beautiful. The rifle stock, the action, the barrel. Now this thing gave me fits finding the right optic to ammo thing that I wanted for it. But as soon as I found that, this thing shoots beautifully. We're talking 3/4 to 1 MOA for a 270 Winchester hunting rifle. That's perfect. And I was super ADD about this rifle. If I was going to take it to the woods or not, I don't want to get it scratched up and banged up. It's a collector's item and blah, blah, blah. And finally, my wife and I sat down and talked about it. And I think she probably had one of the best arguments was, we didn't buy this to just sit in the safe. You need to go hunting with it. It's been your dream hunting rifle. Why would you not take your dream hunting rifle hunting? And I agreed with her. So I took this out. And I have to tell you, I loved every second of having this out in the field. So this was one of the rifles that I rotated. I only rotated between 2 rifles. And there's a couple reasons why I really enjoy this. This is a featherweight. This is a super light rifle. This is very easy to carry around. This is a featherweight super grade. So Winchester made a couple of these. There's only, I think, like 200 or 250 of these rifles out there. And what the really cool thing is you get all of the aesthetics of the super grade in a featherweight model. So the aggravation of this has got a pencil thin barrel, but you don't need to shoot more than twice to harvest any animals. So I thought this would be a fantastic thing if I could harvest a deer with this rifle this year. What a really, really cool opportunity that would have been. Unfortunately, every time I took this out, didn't see anything. So this did go out to the field several times, and I have a feeling it's going to happen more and more. This is very much my favorite rifle, and if I have an opportunity to take this hunting, I will. So this shouldn't come as a shock to a lot of people if you've watched the channel a bit. This is my Remington 700 SPS Tactical in 308. I probably grabbed this rifle more than any other one when I went hunting this year. This is about a 9-pound rifle. It's got a Hogue overmolded stock. It only has a 16.5-inch barrel. And once I got my suppressor, this overall length of this platform was really, really compact, and I really enjoyed it. I do have a new optic on here. I have a 3x9 first focal plane. This is just a holding piece. I'm gonna get an LPVO to put that on here. What I did find out hunting this year is I really enjoyed the smaller, more compact platform of this setup. Like, I really, really enjoy this. This is very nice. It's accurate, but because it's got a much shorter barrel, I don't really want to take this out to where I'm going to be shooting super long distance. 100, 200 yards, that's perfectly fine for me. Even out to 300 yards, I wouldn't even blink, okay? But because of its compact design, I really enjoyed this when I was in the woods with it. I really enjoyed it in the tree stand. Most of the hunting I did that was super, super timber, I took this. There's a couple times when I was in the blind that I took this, but for the most part, if I was in the blind, I took my 270. But I was hunting the timber a lot. So because of that, I took this rifle because it is so much more compact, and the 308 is more than capable of dropping anything. So I really, really enjoyed this rifle. This rifle was a lot of fun to get dialed in, and I did a full review on this, and I got quite a few people asking questions because Remington is in a transition stage. And yes, I do have the Timney trigger on this one. This one was produced in July of 2023, so this rifle is the new Remington 700 brand, which is extremely nice. Okay, so this rifle, I thought, just knocked it out of the park for everything that I was expecting. Little bummed that I didn't get a chance to harvest anything. I did have this rifle when I was in the timber and the doe walked by, and I could not get on target quick enough to get a shot off. I had a 3-18, I had the right on optic on there, and I just couldn't get on target quick enough. So for any gun that's gonna be a brush gun or timber gun, I either want just a red dot or an LPVO. I think this 308 platform is modular enough that I just want to put an LPVO on it and call it good. Right now we're gonna have the 3x9 kind of as a trainer and intermediary until I can afford to get an LPVO. So really enjoyed this 308, this Remington 700, quickly becoming one of my favorites because it was this and the Winchester Model 70 that kept rotating out of my safe all year. All right, my biggest disappointment of this year with firearms is this one. This is my Ruger M77 original Tang in 338. This rifle is just a beautiful rifle that I really enjoy. I enjoy this thing so much. The fit, the feel, the function of it. I wanted to take this hunting. This rifle was made in 1979. I was born in 1978. I thought it'd be super cool to use this rifle to harvest a deer this year. But if you guys saw my Ruger M77 project, this rifle is is pitted and has fire cracks in it. It just needs to be replaced. And this is going to turn into a 7 PRC. So while this rifle was my most disappointing of this last year, it's probably my most anticipated rifle for next year. Once we get this rebarreled in 7 PRC, spring should be coming around. We'll get this out to the range, and I'm going to shoot it a lot. And if it does what I think it's going to do, this really might become my go-to rifle for everything. It's already bedded in a Macmillan stock. We're going to get the same contour barrel, except we're going to get an 18-inch barrel on it. I am really excited for this, and we'll see what happens. But again, I had high hopes for this rifle this year, and really let me down in that aspect. But we'll see if we can get it a second life for next year. Well, the only thing that I harvested this entire year was 2 turkeys. And funny enough, I did that during deer season. It was also fall turkey season. And instead of using a rifle, because we're not allowed to do that in Wisconsin, I used my cheapest firearm that I own. It is my Winchester SXP. I think it was the Black Shadow, something like that. But, oh, Super X Pump. That's what it's called. And it's a 28-inch barrel. This thing is huge. And you know what's funny? This has been my most harvested animal firearm that I own. I have shot several pheasant with this, and now I've shot several turkey with this. Just a straight up pump action shotgun was the most effective firearm that I had this entire hunting season. I think we paid $200 for this on a Black Friday sale 2 years ago, and this has been just so much fun to have. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm looking more at wanting to get a semi-auto shotgun for trap and skeet and even upland game birds. It's much easier to use that, and for a turkey gun. But it's really hard for me to argue with the results. 2 turkey, I think upwards of 8 pheasant. I mean, it has been doing the job. 12 gauge shotgun, pump action, $200 on sale. Did better than all my fancy rifles. So guys, as we wrap up the season, we wrap up the year, and I take a look back at all those firearms and everything that happened, I find it very funny that my shotgun was the most effective tool for all the hunting that I did this year. And some of you may have some differing opinions about that, but I learned a lot this season about myself, my hunting tactics, and what I really prefer based on what I grabbed out of the safe every time I went to the field. I was out in the field a lot this year, a whole lot. I've got 5 kids. I've got 4 really young kiddos. My wife was in school and had finals right during hunting season. My dad came over and helped watch the kids. But it's really hard for me to get out and get as much hunting in as most people would like to do. And even myself, getting out there just is hard to get that time to get out and do it as consistently as I would like to sometimes. But I got a lot of really good sits. I had some opportunities, and it was a fun season. I had a lot of fun this season. But there's a couple things I learned about firearms, and I don't know if this will help some of you guys, but it's something that I realized about myself, and I think might be helpful to some other people. I really did not enjoy having really long barrels on my rifles. I didn't like having that extra weight to carry around. And because of that, I didn't take the 6.5 Creedmoor, because putting it in that Oryx chassis just added some weight, and having that 22-inch barrel with a muzzle brake and a suppressor on it, I was upwards of 26 inches. I mean, it was just big. And I didn't enjoy having to carry all of that around. I didn't. My Model 70 was a featherweight, so it was light. It's still a 22-inch barrel, but there's no muzzle brake on it. It's not threaded. Because it was light and it's in that wood stock, it was a much more compact design. And I felt that even that, I was on the edge of it being too big, like too long, too big. And that really surprised me because I didn't think that would be the case. I have heard a lot of people talk about wanting to get these shorter barreled rifles, putting muzzle device on everything, and I didn't think that would be a thing with me. But I think it leads back to my time in the military. Is I had an M4 for a majority of my career. If you guys don't know what an M4 is, it is the military's version of what most people call an AR-15. It's a compact design. It has a sliding buttstock that can compact all the way down. You carry that around. You have that sliding adjustment. Small, 16-inch barrel, small. And I carried that for so long. That's what I was used to. And when I started hunting, I used an M4 to hunt. I used a 5.56 NATO to hunt. And I was hunting a lot of tree stands, nothing more than 75 yards, perfectly capable. And when I started going into traditional hunting rifles again, I really started desiring that shorter form factor. One of the reasons I like shooting the 7.62x39 so much is that by putting it in that Sharp Brothers chassis, it was much more smaller and compact. The only thing I didn't like about that is how loud it was. It's a fairly loud platform, and I think that's just because the form and fit of it isn't as tight. That's something I can probably look at and deal with, but I also, my kiddos are wanting to get into shooting, and it makes more sense for me to set it up for them. So I have it set up for them and not for me, and that led to that decision a little bit more. But I did find that I really enjoyed taking the Remington 700 out. So that SPS Tactical is actually heavier than my Model 70, than my 270 Winchester. So it's like 2 pounds heavier. So my Model 70 is 8 pounds loaded. Okay, the 308 was 9 pounds loaded. So my Model 70 was actually lighter, but the Remington 700 was way more compact. So because of that, I found that I was leaning towards that, which leads me to next season. So next season, I'm going to be taking, hopefully, my Ruger M77 7PRC. We're going to put an 18-inch barrel on it. We're going to thread it. We'll be able to suppress it. It's in that Macmillan stock. It's just overall going to be a super light platform that's going to be extremely effective. And I'm finding that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Mild recoil, compact design, lightweight. Seems to be the way to go. Carried too much heavy stuff for too long in the military. I don't need to do it now. But guys, let me know. How did your guys' hunting season go? Mine was so-so this year. I was able to harvest some animals. Wasn't able to recover an animal, which still bothers me, but I think that's good if it bothers you as a hunter. It'll just make you better next time. I look forward to next hunting season. I look forward to this off season. I'm curious to see what's coming out in SHOT Show, see if that'll change. It's always fun to reflect on the year and look at what we can do better next year. The thing that I know that I can do better next year is really focus on the firearm that I'm going to use for the season and use that. Maybe 2 of them. Maybe like this is going to be my dedicated brush gun. This is going to be my dedicated hunting over long range cuts, and just stick to those 2. I did feel that I bounced around a lot, and that may have faded some of the rifles not to come out of the safe this season too. So guys, I hope you had a wonderful 2023. I hope you're looking forward to 2024 like I am. I wish all of you a very happy new year, and guys, we'll see you next time.